that there are bad guys, and there are worse guys, and nothing else. Look at you. So adorable.
Don't worry, she's bulletproof. What happened to bulletproof? It's bulletproof-ish.
Is that Bucky?
That's not good.
Good stuff, good stuff. How you do, guys? Got another Bladeslinger vlog for you. I just got back from seeing the new Marvel movie, Thunderbolts. So, if there was one Marvel movie that I had absolutely no interest in seeing, it would probably have to be the Thunderbolts. Seeing the trailers, I just looked at it and said, oh, that's Marvel's version of the Suicide Squad. Not sure why they want to do that, considering that the Suicide Squad movies aren't very good. And then I heard that the Sentinel was going to be in the movie, and the Thunderbolts would be fighting him, which just said to me that Marvel was running away from the Superman issue. Like, I just had a feeling that the film was going to bomb. Also didn't help that MCU movies haven't really been doing all that well lately. However, as the film started to approach its release date, it started to get really good reviews from critics, and because of that, I thought, maybe I should give it a shot. And I gotta be honest, I'm really glad I did, because while Thunderbolts is an imperfect movie, it is still a really good and very fresh entry in the MCU. So, in the film, Fontaine, the lady from all the Marvel TV shows, who's played by Elaine from Seinfeld, has become president with Ross giving up the office. But because, it's Fontaine, everyone is eager to impeach her, especially when they launch an investigation into all the shady stuff that she's been doing behind the scenes in the MCU. In order to save face, she decides to just destroy everything, including all the various extraordinary individuals that she has at her beck and call. Unfortunately, her little trap to kill them off fails, and also unleashes probably her worst-kept secret, which was essentially a prototype for an all-powerful superhero that she was planning to use to essentially gain complete control over the entire world. Something that didn't go well in her mind, but now that her project was clearly a success, she's eager to take control of it. So now, all these whacked out anti-heroes decide to join forces in order to get a handle on things before the entire power balance of the world completely changes. So, what did I really like about Thunderbolts? Well, for starters, now this is, in essence, Marvel's version of the Suicide Squad. This is basically a team-up of various villains that have appeared in the MCU. Smaller villains, mind you, anti-heroes as they call them. But what's good about this is that because, you're likely to be familiar with all these characters, the film doesn't have to spend time, developing them like, you would typically have to. And even if you haven't seen the other movies that these characters have appeared in, it still works pretty well in isolation because you know that these are just all the enhanced individuals that Fontaine has gathered. And that really just tells you enough about who they are and what their role in this world is. So, from a character standpoint, it's pretty good. And it's also really cool to see all these different personalities clashing with each other. There isn't really a point in the film where you get the sense that any of these characters really like each other, though they do cooperate with each other, work together, and form something of a loose friendship towards the end of the movie. You never get the sense that these are going to be people who are going to be best friends. So yeah, that's really good. The other thing I really liked about this movie is that it's probably the darkest of all the MCU movies. This film goes into some really heavy subject matter, namely, mental illness and depression, which really makes sense to do with these characters, because the thing about all the Thunderbolts in this movie is that they're not necessarily evil characters. More or less, they are morally questionable individuals who really just don't know what to do with themselves. You kind of get the sense that every character in this movie has their own demons that they're fighting, and that is sort of personified in the villain of the movie, which is the Sentinel. For those dudes who don't know, the Sentinel is essentially Marvel's answer to Superman. And I'm really glad that they chose to tackle that in such an interesting way, because when I heard that Sentinel was going to essentially be the villain in this movie, I was very turned off by that fact. I figured it was just going to be Suicide Squad meets The Boys. But that's not what happens. The Sentinel is just as interesting a character in this movie. It's essentially someone who wants to do really good things in the world and has a desire to be someone like Superman, but the problem is that he has his own inner demons that cloud his judgments and cause him to act irrationally. So it's just a really interesting take on the concept. So I do have to praise the film for that too. It is doing its own thing. It does set itself apart from the Suicide Squad and The Boys, which I was concerned the film wouldn't do. Also really love the look of this movie. There's a lot of black, a lot of white. Also really love the use of shadows in this movie to sort of represent the line between light and darkness that these characters seem to be walking. Whoever directed this just did an amazing job, and I really appreciate the fact that so many of the fight scenes were done practically as opposed to throwing in a bunch of CGI. That being said, I still did have issues with this movie. First of all, while I think they did a really good job handling the character of the Sentinel in this movie, I'm still a little bummed out that they chose to use the Sentinel for this, because it just says to me that Marvel is running away from the Superman issue, because, them and DC and essentially anyone who's working on all these comic book movies can't seem to wrap their head around how you make a story interesting with the character who can't lose. So for them to just throw away their equivalent of Superman on this movie just really bums me out. I hope they do more with the Sentinel in the future, but with the way they portrayed him here, I don't think they're going to use him in the way I would like them to. And also doesn't help that James Gunn clearly doesn't know the solution to the problem either. I really don't think the Superman movie is going to be terribly good. And the other thing about this movie that I didn't like was that the villain in this movie, Fontaine, who is sort of pulling the strings here and causes all this nonsense, I feel like she just gets off scot-free. I was hoping that she would just get thrown in jail, or as the Red Guardian suggested, that she would end up with a bunch of broken bones as they were taking her into custody. But no, she manages to play her way out of it, and though it is implied that she's put herself in a bad position, just the fact that she's not really facing any kind of repercussions for this just really bothers me. But overall, The Thunderbolts was a really good movie, really fresh take on the MCU, and it does establish some things that I would be interested to see again in the MCU. I would love to see all these characters show up again. I actually would like to see them interact with some of the other big stars in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I would like to see the Sentinel come back. And you know what? I would like to see this group of characters also maybe link up with Ross, who is sort of in the same boat as these characters, trying to find a better purpose in life. that's the thing about the name Thunderbolts in this movie. They're named after General Ross. This was essentially his task force for fighting superhumans in the comics. And for whatever reason, they just never made that connection. The name Thunderbolts comes from a completely different source. And I'm not going to spoil it because it is pretty amusing, but yeah, really like Thunderbolts. If you're looking for a good movie to see this weekend, highly recommend it. One of the better MCU movies to come out in recent years. But that's going to do it for this vlog, guys, and I'll see you next time.